Sometimes I like singing that song, and sometimes I find it to be embarrassing, and it's usually because somebody came in the studio that I don't know, and I've known him for 3 seconds, and his buddy, and I'm like, two dudes. Hey, two dudes, want to hear a fucking asshole sing a stupid-ass song at the start of a show? Good. Adam22 is here. Another reason why it's intimidating, because Adam22, you guys might not know. If you don't know, then what the fuck? But you might be like a Jason Ellis show, hardcore. I was listening to you on SiriusXM. What is podcasting? Because you moved. Adam did it a long time ago. Really big, very successful, knows everything there is to know, even though I don't know him, but I know enough to know that he's way ahead of us. And at one point, we didn't even know he existed, and he was already destroying. Because you've been in the game a long time, done a lot of stuff.
But I always knew about you from, like, I just have a lot of friends at action sports in general and stuff.
Because you're a BMX guy, right?
Right, but people would always hit me up and be like, you should go on Jason Ellis's fucking radio show or whatever. And I was always just like, how the fuck do I do that? How would I ever get in touch with him?
Yeah, you could have messaged me on stupid social media, but because I would have been into that. But were you a pro BMX dude?
Nah, so I've been running BMX passionately. Like, that was my fucking whole life, was just like street BMX. Like, I got into it at like 13, which would have been like 1997, and just rode, intently all through high school. But I was never that good. But I would I wanted to be a filmer, and I would get video cameras and stuff like that. But I wasn't really like actually with it enough to really figure out the filming side of things. But I would film and everything. But then when it really like turned into something, and not just me like, hanging out. Like, I moved to New York City when I was like 21, basically because I wanted to just ride BMX and film and hang out.
That was where are you originally from?
Nashua, New Hampshire.
Oh, wow.
AKA Hash Brown Town. Yeah, it's a small city like 45 minutes outside of Boston.
So BMX took you to New York City?
Yeah, because like at that time, like street riding was very much like in probably its greatest like growth phase in like 2002, like right when I graduated high school. Like,
this is pegs, grinding ledges, jumping stairs, all that shit
could be done on a rail was like being invented around that time period. Like late 90s, early 2000s was when it really started. The progression just ramped up so much.
So you were doing rails on BMX, on bike? So
I was never like a great rider.
But you still did those.
A few rails here and there, but it wasn't really like I was never really like the pro or anything like that. Oh, not to mention I didn't even know about that.
I just feel like there's such a slam involved in, because I've done demos with bike guys my whole life, so I'm friends with them, but I always felt like they don't bail. Like on Vert, they don't, like when we do stuff wrong, we'll try stuff, and if it's wrong, we kick off. They think about it in their head, and then they fucking commit. They can't bail. Sometimes there was people where I was like, you could have got out of that, but you're so programmed to never eject that because they stay on. But when it comes to rails on a bike, you want to kick off a little bit. You don't want to get tangled in both. Has that happened to you? Because I feel like that's like the worst slam I can think of.
Well, like I always think about just like on El Toro, I've seen people try, a flip trick down El Toro 10 times and they just roll out of it nicely every time. And that, like, I was there, I was filming the first time that dude bar spinned El Toro.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's not a lot of like, you're not like rolling out of it. Like the bike is just right there for you to fucking impale yourself onto.
Right.
And so, I don't know. It is like, that's what it always stood out to me, is that's kind of like an advantage, I guess, for skateboarding, is that skateboarding, it's harder. It's harder to stay on the skateboard. But then at the same time, if you're going to fucking bail, it's a lot easier. The board is a lot smaller and it's easier to avoid, you know?
Yeah, the commitment level, because I can tell when you do certain tricks in skateboarding, I'll spin it and test it, knowing very well that I am nowhere near making it.
Right.
But I'll spin it and get a look at where the landing is and then turn around and do what is called a knee slide in the game. But for some weird reason, these guys, with knee pads on, they don't know what knee slides. I've never seen, I'm talking fucking 20 years in the game, all the best BMX dudes in the world. I never saw anyone go, eject the bike, knee slide down the ramp. And I was like, you got the same pads on as me. There could be an option, but BMX dudes never take it. I've seen people just just dive bomb to the flat, still holding onto the bike.
That's such a big decision in the air on a bike. It's like, I have to get this thing away from me right now. Like, you must have to be convinced at that moment that you're so fucked in your rotation or whatever is so
It has to be early. You can't do it last
yeah.
minute, right? Because you'll get tangled in the bike if you don't get it fully away from you, correct?
Right. But whereas with the board, you can just kind of kick it away.
It's in between moto and skateboarding. So in moto, you can never let go of the bike. And as a skateboarder, I always, whenever things went wrong in the air on a dirt bike, I totally wanted to eject because I was like, oh, fuck, I got to get out of here. And it's like, no, you've got to stay on it and let the bike take the impact and then crash if you have to. But it's best to stay on it.
Right.
I feel like BMX or biking, there's an option there. Sometimes I know it for a fact. I've been on the ramp with these guys and I was like, right there, no, you
What about mega ramp? I've seen guys fuck up on mega ramp with
they don't need slide there either.
I've seen it there because there you have all the time in the world to get the bike away from you.
Okay.
Well, I've seen the guys that don't get rid of it, and I've seen things that I cannot believe.
Well,
not that people
just popped his fucking eyeball. So there's this dude. I think I heard about that. I don't know his name, but he did a 1440 or a dirt jump. So one more than a 1080. Yeah. 1080 probably got invented like 2007, I think, over a jump, and then. This dude could do a 1440 and he did it. And somehow the fucking bar went right into his eye. And I saw on his Instagram story, he said that his bar popped his eye like a fucking tomato.
Whoa.
Like went right into it.
Did he get his eye back in?
I don't know. I think that they literally went in and had to sew his eyeball back together. But I don't think that they know for sure.
I've always wanted like a glass eye like that guy in the Schwarzenegger movie, like with the bullseye on it or whatever.
Last Action Hero?
Yep. Yeah, Last Action Hero guy was sweet.
Yeah, that's the silver lining, I guess.
He would look badass.
Getting the marble eye.
I mean, you could just get contact lenses that make it look like a target. You don't have to blow your eyeball out.
I just can't believe someone did a 1440.
I know.
Because I guess he pulled it in practice and then he fucked it up during the event.
Yeah, it's weird how they just keep spinning, how everyone just keeps going.
I don't think
you'd be done, but
they're not adding another one after 14.
You can't say that. How can you say that? I didn't know they did that one, and you just told me that. Like that just means that someone's going to go further.
But think about that. It took somebody 15 years to add an extra 3.
We're talking about an 1800? Am I doing that math right?
Wait, what?
1440 plus 360 is 1800. Yeah.
Okay. Is it a 1240? Is that the under the this next one from a 1080? Is it a 12?
No, because then you'd have to land fakie.
Yeah, somebody in skateboarding did that. Some little kid can do a 12. Is it a 12?
Yeah. I don't think you're landing fakie after spinning around that many times.
He doesn't.
I think a skateboarder would definitely work better.
I mean, if depends on the jump. Like if you start making jumps that are like ski jumps with a kicker and then a descent, then if you can hold your spin, you can spin till the cows come home.
Riding backwards, like even if you have a free coaster, so you don't have to pedal backwards. Like
keep
after
forgetting
all that momentum, like I don't even think I ever like. You'll see people do like a big 540 down a big ass set of stairs, but it's really hard for me to imagine somebody busting like a 900 to fakie over a
good point.
A jump.
I've never seen
that would be so sick.
A BMX guy landing backwards with the same amount of speed that he took off forwards would be the most insane thing.
With a skateboard, it's doable.
Yep. Good point. I completely forgot about that. So anyway, BMX, sure, but you're also a person as a guy that has, I'm very sexual and I've talked about it, and some people like it, some people don't like it, but because I talk about everything, I get to know what your opinions are on
you're a
it.
little freak. I was just listening to that Impulsive episode, so I got a little background there.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm so punchy, man. It's ridiculous. That sounds familiar. But I've seen you fuck. I've got your account and all that. Don't get weird. I'm gay for certain people, not you.
That's cool.
You're a business guy who I'm like, wait, you got kids? Wait, you have a big podcast and you talk to like a lot of rappers, and then you have an OnlyFans where your dick's out, and everyone's okay with that. Yeah. How did you do that? Because I always felt like my wife has an OnlyFans now, but I always thought, if I get caught on there, that's the end of my career.
Really?
When I was on SiriusXM, I wanted to be on there because she has friends and they all film and they're like, you should be in it. And I'm like, I would love to be in this, but I don't want anyone to.
That'd be an easy excuse to fire you for sure. Yeah.
I think something like that. So I never, I was always concerned, and just everybody's opinion. But it seems like for you, I don't see anybody in the comments just saying, how dare you be, an entertainer and a adult entertainer.
I mean,
Am I wrong?
I kind of just like gradually fell into it and got more and more comfortable with it. Like I remember there was one time where there's an awards show in BMX called the Nora Cup, and that's like their version of, I don't know, whatever.
A BMX award got you into porn.
No, there's many steps between that and the porn thing. But
well, I want to hear about all of them because I want to know how you seemed like such a BMX dude to me. I don't know you, but when you talk and I watch your show, I go, he's just one of us.
But that's
and
why
then
it's
it's
so
like,
funny
"Here
that
I'm taking my pants off. I'm gonna fuck you and my wife, and I'm like, are you really gonna do that?
Jamie
wow.
Bestwick threw his arm around you. The next thing you know.
That's why I think it's so funny that I like get to interview all these rappers, because I feel like a regular BMX dude who somehow has like wormed his way into this position.
Which I want to know about that as well, but go do the sex
so
thing
I'm
first.
at this award show, right? And there's this girl who's hitting me up and she looks kind of ugly or whatever. So I'm not hitting her back on Twitter or whatever. She's all trying to fuck me and she's telling me she's got a friend, they want to fuck me together, whatever. And I'm ignoring her. They show up at this BMX award show and we all start getting drunk as fuck. This is before the podcast, the BMX thing or anything. This is probably like 2009 or no, 2012 or something like that. And like one of the girls just drops to her knees and starts sucking my dick in the middle of this fucking like award show, like party bar,
BMX dudes everywhere
atmosphere. I look over and I just see like fucking guys who have like many X Games medals and shit, and they're just looking at me and like just can't believe what's happening. And then those girls, I remember we went back to the hotel room and we just fucking started snorting all these fucking drugs and shit, and like we were just fucking hooking up, and I put the whole thing on Snapchat, and I just remember it was like the talk of the BMX world the next couple of days, because nobody could believe that like you could just see me fucking with a bunch of naked chicks in a fucking hotel room on Snapchat. And I remember like having so many people hit me up about it. And I also remember kind of realizing at that point, like, this doesn't bother me. Like, I'm totally down with this.
Is this like one of the bigger things that ever happened to you in your BMX life?
No, it wasn't even anything.
Well, you were already, did everyone know you already before this?
Yeah.
And you had a big Snapchat. Had you ever put your dick in Snapchat before? Were you a guy that was like, hey, man, have you seen my boner lately? Like, were you that kind of guy or no?
I was always like the dude who would just not shut the fuck up about his sexual experiences and shit like that.
Okay, but you would do stuff in public as well.
Well, that just happened that one time.
Okay, that wasn't a regular thing.
Eye-opening experience of like, oh, like this doesn't bother me. And
But wait, I'm sorry. Did you do that because you were like fucked up and maybe you weren't feeling as inhibited?
I wasn't even that fucked up at that point in the night.
People have lots of sex and people have Snapchats and social media. There's a reason why most celebrities don't post themselves having sex online.
I wasn't a celebrity at all at that point. This is way before the podcast blew up.
There's a reason why most people don't do that.
I was known in the BMX world because I had like, basically in 2006, I started like the BMX website. Like there weren't any good BMX websites. I started one. It was called The Come Up. It was like me writing my opinions about all the videos and like just putting all the news and everything in place. And that's how I became known in BMX, was basically in like 2006, I basically made myself like the opinionated asshole blogger dude in the BMX community, and then just created this whole business. And over the years, I started like a bike shop downtown, and then we moved it to Melrose.
Do you still have a bike shop?
We're reopening on Fairfax, right across from Supreme, like in a couple, probably about a month, I guess.
Yeah, right by the Dime Bar.
Fucking sick.
Yeah, right down the corner from there. So but anyway, like then my girl that I'm with now, when I started hanging out with her, I still remember one time, like right in the beginning, she said to me, she was like, do you think I should start a private Snapchat, which is basically like the predecessor to the OnlyFans? You know, all these girls had private snaps before that. And I remember, because she had like 50,000 followers and she like kind of like had a shitload of people asking for naked photos and shit like that. And I was like, I think you should do whatever the fuck you want to do. You know, I wasn't like dating her at this point. And then slowly we started to like actually, you know, date. And then we started to like, at that time we were getting fucked up. We would go out and get drunk, do coke, meet a random girl. All of a sudden we're having a threesome with her and we like record some of it. And then we end up asking her and we like, you know, she puts it on our private Snapchat the next day or whatever. And that kind of like got my feet wet in terms of like, oh, all of a sudden now I have people on Twitter sending me pictures of 3 girls sucking my dick on a Friday night because it was on my girl's private Snapchat and these people paid for it or whatever. And I just really didn't give a fuck. And then with me and my girl, like I just kind of slowly over time started like, you know, fucking her and her friends more and more and just kind of getting used to it to the point where my girl just schedules it in my calendar like it's whatever, like, you know.
Was that pretty lucrative from the start or?
Well, yeah, it was pretty, my girl's probably one of the biggest girls on OnlyFans. So she kind of blew up like really crazy in the beginning. And then kind of like right before the pandemic hit, we had this idea of like, what if we did like a premium podcast where we interviewed girls and then had threesomes with them afterwards.
I subscribe. It's fucking genius.
Appreciate you.
The whole thing.
Onlyplugtalk.com.
Yeah, I just can't believe it's still happening.
Yeah,
I'm like, is he gonna fuck him after this? Because because it's a podcast. It's normal interview, good interview. Doesn't seem like it's like it's not all about fucking, but it is. It's such a weird concept.
Is it like a two-parter where you interview them, you have the threesome, and then you get them back on mic and they sort of evaluate you?
No, it ends with the ejaculating typically. Yeah.
Yeah, that's usually where it ends for me too.
Yeah, we do a slight break like between the interviews so we can take our mics off.
Yeah.
Which even that kind of bothers me because I would love for it to just be like completely seamless.
Someone should start sucking you off while you're talking and wrapping it up.
I have so many ideas for
I
this.
bet. It seems like because you've got a lot of great ideas, which means
it's me and my girl interviewing girls. But I had a vision in my head the other day. I'm like, imagine if it was like a bunch of dudes interviewing chicks and then they just gangbang them afterwards.
You could do that one.
That'd be the best podcast ever.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to watch that interview. It seems torturous for everybody.
I am very excited that I get to tell you, yes, you, the listener, about Nomad. Nomad, man.
Wait, me?
You guys.
Oh no, not me.
No. You
got a weird pause in your voice.
It's all for dramatic
Everybody,
effect.
Nomad is a thing that you can get.
By the way, they make phone cases and chargers and stuff.
Chargers and things and stuff.
Are we talking about
What's the deal with phone chargers?
Nomad?
Yeah, Nomad.
Yes, definitely Nomad. That's who we're talking about.
Yeah, they make very high quality phone cases.
I've had a phone charger for a long
cables.
time, and it's the only phone charger that lasts. I don't know how long it's going to last. I feel like it's like a permanent one.
Yeah,
every
the cables
other one
are diesel. They don't fray and break at the end and then stop charging, or you have to hold them at a weird angle.
Yep.
The little contact charging stands that you can just place your phone on and it starts charging. Coolest thing in the world.
Guys, look at this computer laptop charger. I couldn't chew through this if my life depended on it.
You should try though. That'd be funny to watch.
Here I go.
Okay, well, he chews on recommend check out Nomad at nomadgoods.com/Ellis.
Oh, the Kevlar!
To see what living the nomad life is all about. That's nomadgoods.com/Ellis. Hey, everybody, talking about Manscaped. Do you have hair? Okay, good. Then listen to this. As a guy that shaves everything, at least at one point, a shaver has gone across every single part of my body. Manscaped is part of my day-to-day life. These shavers are awesome. They just do the job excellent. They don't miss any hairs, like because I shave my legs and I got blonde hair, so I can't see all the hair. These things, because as I said, I shave a lot. These guys get rid of it. They do the job, and I feel like less chances of cutting my balls and stuff like that too.
It's very important.
Yeah, I don't like ball nicks.
No, and you know what? I like going out in the world knowing my balls look great. Even if nobody out there in that great big scary world is going to see them, I know, and it makes all the difference in my day. And Manscaped is about a lot more than just the Lawnmower 4.0. We've all been enjoying a bunch of personal grooming products like premium deodorant, hydrating body spray, 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. And I don't know about you fellas, my lips have been dry as all get out the last month or two, and I've been leaning very heavily on the Manscaped lip balm they were kind enough to send our way. If you want to get 20% off plus free shipping with the code Ellis at manscaped.com, you will thank yourself. If you have a lady or a man in your life who sees your balls,
Shaver bush.
Yeah, they will thank you. Your balls will thank you. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code Ellis at manscaped.com. The power of attraction is now in a bottle, thanks to Manscaped.
But with your wife being pregnant and you having a kid already, are people offended by that? You know, I have to ask because
people get offended. I don't give a fuck. You know, I read it and stuff. But yeah, we slowed down. I think maybe when she hit like 6 months pregnant, that's when we stopped shooting the porn content, just because she started to be like physically kind of uncomfortable. Like,
Fair enough.
pregnant sex is great, but
Yeah.
like filming it is kind of cumbersome, like the best kind of pregnant sex is like lazy ass, like laying on your side sex.
Yeah. Oh, doing a lot of work while holding a baby. Yeah, I never thought of that because I've never been pregnant or had sex pregnant. But yeah, now that I think about it.
But people do, they act like it's crazy. They act like we should stop doing porn just because we had a kid or whatever. I mean, it's just kind of something you don't, well, I personally probably didn't realize like the extent to which people really look down on porn until I really got in the game, and like you realize how many people feel that way. But then at the same time, I mean, like I'll forever be interviewing a rapper and just mention that I do that shit and they have no fucking clue. And to me, it kind of feels like it should be a bigger deal. Like they should, like, I'm surprised you don't know. But also I think that's cool that like it's not such big news that everybody knows. And has
Do they ever get worried that they're on the show where you bone them afterwards?
That's the one thing I hate about it, is that when I have a girl on the podcast, a lot of times she'll say that people have been saying that to her, like, oh, I'm like so-and-so told me, like, oh, you're going on that show, doesn't that mean you have to fuck him and your girl? Because it's like, I interview female rappers and whatever, like all the time, and like obviously I don't want them, hopefully the messages don't get too mixed.
Yeah. So you getting these guys and girls, you're a record producer or something? Like, how did you end up getting into the game where, like you said so yourself, you're not a rapper? How do you have all these contacts? What made you decide to go down that road?
All right. So I've been doing the BMX website since 2006, and that was going quite well for myself and everything. I opened the bike shop downtown, and around that time I had started to really have this realization of like, okay, social media is becoming everything. So how many Twitter followers I have matters. How, what we're doing on YouTube matters or whatever. And I started to be like, all right, I'm going to do two things. I'm going to start doing vlogs where we go out and we like ride, and I really show like the personality of the dudes that are on my team and that I have riding with me all the time. Yeah. So I started doing that, and that shit started going crazy. And then I also was like,
it did. You had like a successful bike.
Oh yeah.
Video vlog thing. Sorry, dude.
Yeah.
I know.
No, it's cool. My BMX channel had like 500,000 subscribers and shit like
Fuck
that.
yeah.
I remember we're putting out vlogs, and sometimes they'd be getting millions of views and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then at the same time, I was like, I also want to be a podcaster. So that was pretty much my life for like a couple of years while I lived downtown. Was I would go out, ride with the guys, do vlogs all day, and then go do interviews at night with pro riders, dudes who owned brands, just as many different people in the BMX world as possible. And as that went, because I'm downtown, and this is basically like in the years that are like the formation of the of the SoundCloud rap world. Yeah. There's all these people around that are rappers that are like relevant, but they're like 18, 19-year-olds doing millions of views, and they're not like getting the attention of like big media outlets or whatever. And I start putting the pieces together because I'm also listening to a shitload of podcasts at the time. I'm listening to Joe Rogan. I'm listening to fucking Joe Budden and Combat Jack, rest in peace. All these people who were early on doing it in the hip hop space. And I've started to realize like, oh, I've already kind of got my chops up right here doing these BMX interviews. I'm starting to get confident doing that. But then also like, I fuck with Lil Yachty, who's like 16 at that time, and nobody had interviewed him yet. So I hit up Lil Yachty, and I get him to pull up and do an interview. And I hit up XXXTentacion and get him to do an interview. And it starts to like really build on itself, where, I mean, when I said I hit up X, I mean, he was hitting me up, like, but he was like not big yet. He had like a couple songs, like 1 million plays or whatever. But I'm so tapped in the underground rap scene at that time.
What is this initial spark of Adam22 BMX guy that's got a sweet YouTube channel and your deep connection with the future of hip hop?
Because I just really was like paying attention to it. Like I really like had been paying attention to like so many generations of rap music at that point, because I've been listening to it as a kid, but I never had any kind of real involvement with it besides just listening to it. But for all those years, I just kept learning more and more about rap music and getting more and more on top of shit, to the point where I started to notice that like, oh, I'm actually like good at picking what rappers are going to blow up. Like, I remember listening to like Young Thug so early on BMX trips in like 2010, 2011, and pissing off my fucking friends and the dudes who were on the team because they thought it sounded so fucking weird. And fast forward like 2-3 years, and he's like their favorite rapper. And I started to like, I don't know. I just kept getting more and more into underground shit. And then I moved to LA, and like Odd Future's taken over. And that was like the era where you really started having like underground rap really rising to the surface where you have like a Riff Raff or Action Bronson and Krayshawn and the White Girl Mob and all that shit, all that stuff just kind of started blowing up. And I'm downtown, so it's like, Lil Peep is in a fucking apartment around the corner recording, and I know who he is from SoundCloud and shit.
Right.
Like some of his first videos were on our channel and stuff. And I didn't realize how big a deal that opportunity was, which if I did, then I probably would have signed some of those artists or, really.
You do that now, though, right?
Now, a little bit, but like but like at that time, like I met all these artists before they were signed.
Yeah.
And didn't realize that like I could have made like millions,
Right,
and
because
millions
you
and millions.
saw
of dollars.
the future in them before anybody else.
Yeah, but I was just like, let me get this interview, and then we're cool, and
you
we'll
would
be
think-
friends, and we'll fucking snort coke together and shit. Yeah,
But that's if you weren't like that from the get go, they wouldn't have been the
would've
real
been
friend,
different, yeah.
right? Because when anybody gives you the spiel and you're like, oh, okay, so you want to make money out of me?
Yeah.
I'm not taking you as a friend.
I really
anymore.
was coming at it from a completely like good-hearted
right.
perspective of just wanting to do those interviews because I just knew how big some of those artists were about to be. I just had
Yeah.
a lot of faith,
And so now you see the future because obviously it's forever changing and changing faster. Are you past your prime? Do you no longer see what the kids are doing, or are you like, yeah, whatever, next guy's pretty good, this guy's going to be good?
I mean, I still think I'm pretty much like ahead of nearly everybody in the rap game in terms of like really seeing what's coming, like being like a big name with a big platform, but also being fully tapped into what's going on the underground level. But also, yeah, it does get tough as you get bigger and bigger, where my time is just so sapped in different directions at this point that it's just super hard for me to really be like sitting on fucking SoundCloud and knowing about these artists super early on. But
And then you got to go, come on a bunch of chicks with your wife.
I gotta go do that.
Busy.
Yeah, it's a whole thing, And but that is the whole thing is that my primary challenge in life now is like building out my team, which I've had like amazing success with over the past year or two, where I've brought on a bunch of different dudes like AD and T-Rel, Lil House Phone. There's this guy Sharp from Vegas, and like No Jumper now at this point, we get like a pretty significant percentage of our views on the YouTube channel from all these other hosts that I've built out. So like that's one of my like just now this dude T-Rel, like he's done a bunch of different interviews over the course of the past month for us that have been doing really well, and I'm just kind of trying to just find more talent and find more people who can be personalities with it, especially with us opening the new store and everything. I just really want to I need to like focus on the teams that I'm building out more than just like me doing 10 interviews a week, because like I mean
Is that how much you were doing?
I mean I'll do 5 interviews on a slow week.
Man, you know what? You're the only podcast I've ever talked to who, because we're all from Sirius XM. We did 5 days and it was fucking no big deal. Who cares?
Yeah.
And everyone's like, man, you're going to do this show and then you're going to be on that show. That seems like a lot. I'm like, what are you guys talking about?
That's what I'm saying. It's so fucking
like
easy
1
for
or
me to
2
sit
shows
around
a
and
week
talk.
is
Yeah.
easy.
It's easy for me to get that done, but it's also like I can't separate my interest in so many different things. Like
no, you can't spread it. I get it. I'm a guy that does a lot of things, and you have to channel. Like you could pick like 2 or 3 at most, focus on them. Then when that one starts to settle, then you can rotate to the other ones.
Yeah, I mean, I could not imagine limiting myself to 1 interview a week. And also, I realized that early on because I remember when I first got into podcasting, I think Joe Rogan had like 400 episodes, and I remember listening to him. And then listening to his old episodes and realizing like, oh, he sucked in the beginning. He was not good at this in the beginning. And I realized like, oh, you might not love yourself as a podcast host right now, but if you do this hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, you're going to get better at it. And so I always figured that would be my cheat code, is if I can do 2 or 3 interviews a week. Back then, that was like, a lot for me because I was editing it myself and everything. I figured that's my cheat code into really getting the experience in.
When you're talking back about the artist and having the opinion of kind of knowing what's good and what isn't, from time to time, you would probably have an opinion on somebody not being as great as they claim to be. And has that ever got you into some shit? Because it seems like out of everybody in the music industry, hip hop guys are the kind of people that could come to your studio.
Oh yeah, I had that happen a couple times. Yeah,
you have had because I know somebody came with a gun, right? But that had
I was
nothing
like
to do
a
with
crazed fan. I was just like a psychopath, fucking tweaker ass kid. There was one rapper who sent a couple of dudes to fucking jump me in a nail salon. So I got punched on the side of the head, and then they just like ran out, and I was super confused until like 10 months later, I ended up figuring it out and had like a argument with the guy, but then we actually ended up settling it, and so we were cool after that. But yeah, that was a unique situation. And to be honest, like my perspective on talking shit about rappers or really being disrespectful towards rappers, I've kind of learned over the years that it doesn't really benefit me to be Mr. Opinionated, shitting on all these up-and-coming rappers, because ultimately I want to do interviews with these guys. So if I'm out here really trying to humiliate somebody, like, you could be real about somebody, but you
have an
don't
honest
use
opinion
them as a joke. You don't want to treat them like the butt of the joke. And
I
like,
understand.
when it comes to a lot of these up-and-coming rappers, I might personally think that they're kind of limited skill-wise, but if I see the fans resonating with them and I think that they're interesting, it's like, what do I have to gain from just telling the world that, like, this guy sucks at rapping? It doesn't really.
And you said so yourself when you first start, maybe you're not so good, but with practice, who knows?
Yeah, and I've seen tons of artists over the years who, the first time I see them, they're terrible, and then they're blowing up a couple of years later. And from my perspective, it's like, I'm lucky if I am able to stay in good communication with them and good relationship, and are able to, like, continue to work with them and everything. I feel lucky to have that opportunity.
A nail salon.
Yeah, dudes go to nail salons.
I know. I'm just, how did they know that they could find you
I was
there?
getting a manicure, and
That's totally fine.
I was stupid as fuck. And this was like, there was an event at my store all day. I used to just be in my store all day, every day, no security, no gun, nothing, just butt naked out there. And these dudes like waited outside, I guess, until they saw me go to the nail salon to get my nails done. And I'm thinking I'm slick because I got my hoodie up and I'm facing away from the door. Apparently that didn't work because they ran up on me. But
so this guy that was a fan that came to the studio, he just walked in and was like, hey, did you feel like he was going to shoot you, or did you think from the start that he was just like really sad and just so happened to have a gun?
It was weird because he was wearing a mask and he had a gun pointed at my head. So definitely it felt like there was a pretty good chance that this was a real thing. But I also like kind of thought it was a prank. So that's why when you watch the clip, I'm kind of like, hee, like I fucking like I'm giggling while I try to fucking duck up under the gun or whatever. But then the thing that made it even weirder is that the person who was there doing security for us at the time, who had slipped up and let the dude slip in, he had his gun out right away, pointed at the fucking dude's head. So I'm kind of feeling like maybe this dude's going to get shot in the head right now, like on top of me.
Yeah.
And so then he ended up not shooting him. And then we ended up just like beating the fuck out of the dude and then calling the cops and having them deal with it. But
how crazy was he?
I don't know.
Like, did he talk to you?
No, we kicked his head in. He wasn't saying nothing.
But when he came in, did he say,
he said, give me all your money.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't, that's weird you're saying he's a crazy fan, but it just sounds like he was he robbed you.
No, but okay. And it was a fake gun. And which is funny because that meant that like he thought that we were going to be like, okay. Like, like he was going to be able to like hold us at gunpoint for like, I don't know how long or whatever, even though there was like 7 dudes.
What did he ask for? Like to empty your pocket, or what was it that he was trying to get?
Your money. And that was like the only thing he got to say before like everybody hopped on him and was beating the fuck out of him, you know? But yeah, he had DM'd me like 20 times before that. And I didn't respond or see it or anything. So that was the word I got on that. Yeah, it was a weird chapter in my life. I don't know what happened to him either.
Hey everybody, Jason Ellis and the Jason Ellis Show crew bringing you Athletic Greens AG1. It's a powder and you put it in water and it's got a lot of nutritional value in it, and it's a good source of day-to-day staying alive and staying healthy, and it doesn't taste like shit.
That's right, Jason. One tasty scoop of AG1 contains 75 vitamins, minerals, and whole food sourced ingredients, including a multivitamin, multi-mineral, probiotic, green superfood blend, and more in one convenient daily serving. This special blend of high-quality, bioavailable ingredients in a scoop of AG1 work together to fill the nutritional gaps in your diet, support energy and focus, aid with gut health and digestion, and support a healthy immune system, effectively replacing multiple products or pills with one healthy, delicious drink.
Tastes good, I'm telling you. It's not shit.
Yeah,
not lying.
I absolutely agree. I look forward to having my Athletic Greens. To make it easy for you to try it, Athletic Greens is going to give you an immune-supporting free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs. Ooh, I could use those. I'm traveling this weekend. I
could use some vitamin D. Oh!
I've heard that about you. You get all that, your 1-year supply of vitamin D and your 5 free travel packs with your first purchase if you visit, this is a different promo code than we use for a lot of other stuff. Make sure you make a note of this, athleticgreens.com/JES. Got it? Write it down. Tattoo it on your forehead. AthleticGreens.com/JES to take control of your health and give AG1 a try.
Freshly, fresh food that you put in your mouth.
Easy, Roddenberry.
Yeah, what song's that again?
Oh, it's the Freshly song.
Oh.
It's about putting food in your mouth.
It's not similar to the Star Trek song at all.
Oh.
So get that out of your head.
Okay, that's
No,
what it
no,
was.
no, no.
My bad.
Freshly, you say.
Yeah.
I got food from him.
Me too.
I got plant-based meals, and they're tasty. And I am definitely too busy to make food and get around doing that stuff. So it's very convenient.
Yep.
And especially plant-based, different tests. Pretty hard to get a meal that you would actually want to eat when it's plant-based and sent to you pre-made.
Yeah, and
But they
there's
do
a
it.
reason it's called Freshly because it's not frozen or anything. It's prepared food. It gets packaged,
Put it in the
and
fridge.
sent to you. Yeah, and you got like a week to eat it because it is not frozen crap. It's really good stuff. I was surprised that you can just pop something in a microwave for 3 minutes, take it out, and you get a full delicious meal.
And it's good for
Just
you.
like
Keeps
that.
you in shape, too. If you eat this every day, you'll be tip-top, tippity-top, tip shape.
Stop stressing about dinner. Right now, Freshly is offering our listeners $40
That's $40.
off your first 2 orders when you go to freshly.com/Ellis. That's $40 off at freshly.com/Ellis.
I just wouldn't call somebody a crazy fan if they pointed a gun that was fake or real at my head and asked me for money. I'm like, that's not a... You don't know me. You're a...
But also, how much money do I have on me? Much like
I don't
right
know.
now, I have $0 on me because the year is 2022. And why
It's a
the
weird
fuck would I
question.
have money
That's what
on
I'm
me,
saying.
right?
It's a weird, like you're saying everyone open their wallet and put it on the table. I'm like, what's in people's wallets these days?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, how many people have the fucking clip with just...
It was some weird ass.
I'll give you my
attention
Venmo.
shit, you know, Like, it was just some weird ass clout chasing, weird ass shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
But obviously, that was a big eye opening experience about my security that I needed to move around with.
So you now do you have it all the time?
No, but when I'm definitely when I'm at this new store that we're opening, like we have just security armed in front of the store anytime we're open. And then like when I'm moving around in that kind of environment, I got my own personal person who's on me.
Does that ever bother you? Like, is that an extra weight you have to carry around, or you're okay with it?
No, I love it. I think it's cool because like your security, you got like somebody to hang out with, somebody to smoke weed with. You probably shouldn't, but you know, fuck it.
I don't know if that makes you worse at defending yourself.
I don't feel like I have any threats incoming that couldn't handle a couple blunts. But
Right.
no, I actually like it. I don't wear jewelry or anything like that. But when you have like a big, large man lurking behind you, I feel like that's kind of like I get a nice little ego boost out of that. Like, oh, I'm important
Yeah.
enough that I need to guard my life.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've hung out with Tony Hawk a few times where we had a big security guy,
Yeah.
and I guess I did kind of like it.
It's like the number one thing that makes you feel like famous and important, I feel like.
A security guard.
And having an actual reason for it. Because it's like, from my perspective, it's like everybody's seen that video of the dude trying to rob me. So it's like, if I was out and about on Fairfax at my store without that, people would be looking at me like I'm crazy.
Yeah, like
You know?
you're going balls to the wall.
Yeah, like, what are you, fucking crazy?
Do you ever do that just to be like, look at me, or that's just asking for shit?
Well, A, I'm protecting myself at all times. I want to make that clear too. But B,
Do you have a license to carry? Am I not allowed to ask that question? Don't go above the line.
No comment. But
I did across the line. Sorry.
No, it's all right. But yeah, I mean, I just move very, very differently after that experience, plus a handful of other experiences.
So it
that
did
I've-
fuck with you a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of made me realize, like, because, you know, in terms of the idea of you being like famous or whatever, you're always kind of like trying to figure out in your head, like, am I actually famous, or am I just kind of deluding myself into thinking that I'm famous because I have a certain level of like internet attention on me, you know?
Yeah.
And that was, I guess, the moment where it's like, oh no, like this could be really bad. Like you, it's worth spending money on taking care of this part of your life. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, we did a show for 15 years in a building, and if one time somebody came in the building and waved that around, it would forever change the way I looked at that show.
There was one time, I don't even think you remember it, where I thought it was about to happen.
Really?
And
What?
it's a weird, you don't even remember it.
So much
A
time.
guy-
I've been hitting the head so many times, it's crazy.
Here's
I
my,
know I'm me right now. That's cool.
Here's my honest to goodness theory based on very little. A guy came in because he's a fan of the show, and we always had an open door. If you say you want to come by, you're in town, come on by, say hi. He brought some friends, and I don't know if his friend was a little nervous to be around something a little entertainment-y. And my impression was the guy had some sort of PTSD. And the guy kind of lost his shit. And it wasn't that he was threatening us. He just, a couple times in your life, everybody's unlucky to be in some situations where you're like, oh, this is going to be something people are going to read about in the newspaper tomorrow.
Right.
Something weird and bad is about to happen here. I can just feel there's bad vibrations coming off this guy. And he just kind of, and we're fucking talking into microphones. So we said, hey, say hi. And he starts talking and like, well, I don't think anybody wants to hear what this guy has to say. I don't even remember what he said, but it was like, okay, anyway, we got a guest coming on next. So glad you enjoy the rest of your visit to Los Angeles. And I was like, this person is going to, and we were trapped in a little soundproof.
He didn't actually pull out a gun.
No, he did not. He did not. It was the one time I've ever felt like we're going to be on the news in the worst way possible.
That's probably too high to detect that.
Because doing the podcast and these live streams and everything from the back of the store for all those years, I mean, it was just it was an environment that was totally fine when we got there because our profile wasn't that big yet. But then by the time we leave, we got like 3 million YouTube subscribers and shit like that. And the level of attention on us was just so much more. And just weird shit just kept happening where we're just attracting that. And that was before we had security. Once we got security, then all of a sudden everything was fine, because, people are limited in what they could do. They're not going to really try it with security there for the most part. But like, I remember one time we're sitting in the back of the store because I went through the adpocalypse bad on YouTube in like 2017, where I was making like 50 grand a month off YouTube. And then all of a sudden it became $5 grand a month for YouTube in the course of like a month. And so we started doing these long live streams at night where we'd be getting people to send in their songs and we'd be playing their songs for like 8 hours. And, in a night we might make 10 grand or some shit like that. And I basically started doing that all the time because people wanted me to listen to their music so bad. But then also like we were fucked on YouTube and I needed to do this to like pay the fucking bills at that point,
Yeah.
And I remember one time somebody donated like $100 or $200 or some shit. And I look at it and it's just a little profile picture of just like a Mexican dude with a mustache. And I just think like, oh, like whatever, that's cool. And like said something that was kind of like, you guys are dope. Like I would love to kick it with you or some shit. And then all of a sudden, apparently the door wasn't locked. Like 20 minutes later, a dude walks in and I just take one look at him and I'm like, that's the dude. Like I see the mustache. And I'm like, that's the dude. And he just pulls out a fucking bowl and just starts smoking weed and he's just fucking kicking it like total party animal. Like, you guys are real cool, man. Like, and I'm just like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, I can't believe that we don't have this environment better secured,
Yeah. Yeah, that is terrifying. Did you say anything?
I mean, honestly, he was just chilling. So we kind of just let him rock for like 20 minutes. And
champion.
Then like one of the homies like kind of asked him to go after that and he was cool about it. But yeah.
Let me ask you this now that I've got you here. Because Josh Eldridge, right? And Josh is the person where I was like, Katie's got her OnlyFans. I've got a studio. We could do a show on OnlyFans. Right. And then he goes, yeah, dude, Adam does a show. You don't know about it? And I'm like, wait, what? And he, and then I get I sign up to the whole thing and I'm like, whoa.
Right.
Full, the proper interview, proper studio, awesome studio, by the way. And then bone.
Yeah.
And then, does OnlyFans, do they like the bit where you're not boning, or do they just want or which bit do they prefer, or do they love that you've collaborated and made it like a serious show with fucking?
I feel like you have limited analytics on OnlyFans, because if it was YouTube, then I would be able to go and look and see exactly what part they're watching. So I'm not 100% sure how many people actually watch the full interview before they watch the fucking. But, from my perspective, when we were conceiving of it, it was like, I hate porn intros. It's boring as fuck. I don't want to hear some stupid ass skit that is not real between, two people. And then, and I'm not into the gimmicks. I don't care about your fucking parody porn or whatever it is. But I like podcasts. I feel like I get to know two people when I watch them on a podcast. Yeah. And also I was kind of thinking at the time, like podcasts and porn are two things that people are clearly okay with paying for, there's just tons of podcasts that have like a premium element to it. The No Jumper Patreon also does well. It's like a separate thing. So yeah, we just kind of came up with that idea. Like, maybe the podcast bit would actually act as, a proper introduction to some sex stuff. And so we just kind of committed ourselves to doing one episode a week and just went for it.
So do you do it in a season? Like you do like a bunch and then chill with it, or are you every week you're booked?
We like to stay booked up if possible. Like, to have like when we started, we had like 10 episodes ready,
Yeah.
Right now we only have like 3 episodes ready. So it's like, I got to do.
Sorry to keep you.
Angela White on Thursday. You gotta lock that in. Yeah. It's just I'm so busy with other things, but like, from my girl's perspective, it's like for me, the way I would prefer to do it is like, let's take a whole day. We're gonna fuck 4 girls. We're gonna get a whole month's worth of content done in a day, and it'll be good. From my girl's perspective, she wants to actually give it her all and fuck her makeup up every time and stuff. And so it's kind of taxing to like be doing a sex scene and then having to do another one.
Is that more her main job right now?
Yeah, her main gig is just OnlyFans, and then
but
now
your
Plug
one
Talk as well.
and her one she operates, correct?
Huh?
Just she has her own separate one.
Oh yeah. She has her own OnlyFans, and then the Plug Talk thing is me and her 50-50.
Right. So she's got to give content to both those things all week, right? It's a constant thing. Am I wrong?
Yeah, and a lot of times she'll like have me show up to the Plug Talk studio, and she'll be like, "Hey, like, can we both give you head, and then we'll do the interview, and then we'll fuck?" And I'm like, "Oh, you're trying to get a 2-for-1 deal here? Okay,
I fucking hate that.
Let's do it." Yeah,
it sounds like a sweet gig.
It makes me perform better because if I nut right before we do the interview and then I got a whole refractory period of me interviewing them for 45 minutes, then it's like all of a sudden I'm ready to fuck again by the time we get done the interview.
Katie.
Yes.
You're going to need to make me jizz before the interview tomorrow. I just need to test that out. And then, of course, immediately milk me afterwards. Okay?
Gotcha.
All right. And film it for OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Coach
No,
Adam22 over here has got me so I already know what I'm doing.
Now, if he called his OnlyFans show the refractory period, would you have an issue with that?
That was a great idea.
I feel like, and now I'm starting to realize, like, if this guy says if that's a great idea, you should like do it.
Probably.
I like it. Yeah.
I feel like I'm starting to understand. You're like, you could be like a talent judge and tell people that they're like steaming piles of shit, and then crash your e-bike and break your back.
I could do that.
Yeah.
Do you know what's really?
Have you been
fucked
offered
up?
that?
No, not yet. But you know what? You really like though is that we manage OnlyFans girls as well now.
It makes sense because you know what? There's 2 things I think here because you've got your wife is super popular on there.
Right.
I don't want to say it's cheating because how did you get popular in the first place? But and you just said so yourself. You don't know how many people watch the talking bit versus the sex bit. It's more like you've made such a powerful brand that could you fail at OnlyFans at this point?
I don't think so because if anything, I look at where we're at right now, and it's kind of like when we started it, I felt like low 6 figures a month would be like bare minimum what we would do.
Yeah,
and so it's done quite a bit better than that. But I also don't, to me, success of like what I think it could be. I think the potential market for the fusion of porn and podcasting is massive. And I also feel like I'm in a more big picture perspective. I'm building a media company with my girl called Plug Talk. And our premier product is this weekly podcast called Plug Talk that involves me and her interviewing somebody and then fucking them. But we're also working on a website that's going to be full of all of our content behind a paywall and everything,
Okay.
some percentage of it behind other ones. And like,
not on OnlyFans.
No, well, it's going to be like a website that you can do instead of the OnlyFans, and you'll be able to get all the content for cheaper than if you just did it through OnlyFans, and it'll be organized in a better way. And I just feel like this media company could potentially produce a way, way more content that is basically just kind of a mix of, interview stuff and porn stuff.
Would other people's content be on there as well?
Perhaps, I have many ideas that I feel like we could do under this umbrella. We just hired our first full-time employee for Plug Talk. So she's helping us really get the workload under control so that I'm able to sort of focus on some more big picture stuff.
What is your thoughts on when your kids get a little older? Because I had to tell my daughter, she's going to know, her friends are going to say something that, Katie has her OnlyFans.
Right.
She was like, yeah, that's cool. I got friends that have that. And I was like, wait, please don't say that. But
How old's your daughter?
16.
Oh, God.
So she knows people that have them. And I'm like, oh, God. But she knows because people know, because that's the world, man. People know that people have OnlyFans. Some people are parents that have OnlyFans. Some people aren't. I don't know.
Yeah.
But some people are gay, straight, and all that other stuff. I feel like the kids know more about that, but I'm also, my son's 12. I don't want to fucking talk to him about it at all. I'm dreading the fuck out of it.
We're seeing it from our eyes. Like, I just feel like
explain that to me,
this
because
new generation of kids, like, I just don't think that they view being naked on the internet as anywhere near as big a deal as my generation.
I think you're right.
I was in high school and there was a girl in my grade who got fucked with a Dr. Pepper bottle, I believe it was, like a rather large one from what I remember at the time. And this was the scandal of the school. People printed out the pictures and fucking hung them on the vending machines at lunch and shit. It was like the biggest thing. I think she had to change schools because her reputation was smeared so bad of being such a whore of, being photographed when she was like probably 17 or underage.
And now I love how you're going to turn this into a good
I just
story.
don't think that would be like, even I'm watching Euphoria right now and like they're talking about people's nudes getting leaked and stuff.
Yeah.
And they don't even talk about it as if it would be as cataclysmic as it seemed to me when I was a kid. And especially now, like, bro, like my daughter, when she becomes, cognizant of what the fuck is going on, if she was, 8 or 9 or whatever, I mean, all her fucking friends' moms, like, even if she's around like a pretty affluent crowd, I'm still thinking like, 20 or 30% of those moms probably are going to have OnlyFans at some point in their life, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't seem that
Her husbands are going to have them, that's for sure.
Hell yeah. I mean, it's just, I feel like the stigma is waning to a certain extent. It might seem crazy to people now. I wish that I had like realized how much more mainstream porn was going to be in like 2010 because I really could have capitalized on it.
You still think it's mainstream?
I think it's becoming mainstream so rapidly, and so much of that happened during the pandemic.
Are you not feeling a push towards people trying to stop this from? Because I feel like there's another side that is angry about the expression of that kind of stuff. I don't know.
Maybe, but I don't think they have any power. I think that an open internet is clearly like the internet is becoming more open. Obviously, the principal problem is that porn is like banished from all social media.
Right.
So that is like the main thing that needs to be fixed, I guess.
Yeah, because it's like you can knock someone out and kill them on video, but you can't show titties. And I'm like, man, I'd rather my kids saw titties
like
than
porn social media thing just needs to get better. Like OnlyFans is cool, but like if there was like a better free layer of that, like if you had like the OnlyFans site really felt like when you go on Instagram, but it's porn friendly. But the problem is it's not going to be able to exist in the App Store. It's going to have to be a website that's separate from it. But I feel like there's a lot of riches to be made for the person that figures that problem out.
Because it is kind of it's a little bit janky if you put it up against Instagram and you're just like watching it for entertainment purposes. Yeah. There's something kind of a little bit budget.
You don't get to explore. If you got to explore and then like once you get to the girl's page, boom, like, okay, I like her. I'm spending the $5. Boom. Now I get more content.
That would get so many other people out there subscribing to people they didn't know about either.
Yeah. And I mean, part of the problem though is that it's like if you start a social network and you're like, okay, anybody can post anything. Well, guess what? You're gonna have a bunch of Nazis showing up because that's just how it always works. Is that
what's the deal with Nazis? How do they just show up and do that?
Because they need places where they can, recruit or do whatever the fuck they want to do when they know it's tough for them on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. So it's like
it's tough for them.
Whenever anybody opens
it's hard out there for a Nazi.
Well, whenever they introduce like a free speech social network, what happens? All the white nationalists go there and they fucking turn it out and they have a big old party, and then that becomes the image of that platform, regardless of if that's what they intended.
Yeah, it's like the dark web just erupts onto the other side.
Right, because you can never really like get behind the dark web, because even if you think that people should be able to buy drugs and guns without the government getting involved, it's like, well, there's child porn on there.
Right.
So you can't ever like just pure free speech is just never going to be a solution online.
No. Yeah, you got to separate the gun-loving drug addicts from the bad people.
Yeah. Well,
what's up with Nazis and pedophiles, man? Like,
they're online. They want somewhere to go.
It's a lot more than I thought,
Yeah.
Seems like there's a big group of those people.
They're out there.
Well, and there's always a phenomenon that people become emboldened because for the longest time, you're like, everyone's telling me I'm the biggest creep, and I'm pretty sure they're right. Unfortunately, you meet 15 other guys around the world who are like, fuck, dude, we can't help it. And you go, yeah, maybe I'm not that bad. And then something horrible just got a million times worse.
Yeah, and if you don't think that like child exploitation on the internet is that big a problem, Google like Sam Harris. You probably don't want to Google this. Google
Yeah.
Sam Harris child pornography or whatever. Like there was like a podcast episode he did at one point about the magnitude of that problem of how many people are looking at this shit online.
What the
It will
fuck,
blow your
dude?
fucking mind, and it'll really the level to which it seems like there's almost nothing that society could really do to stop the problem is extremely depressing and crazy.
Because it's that many people.
And it's just also like even like the FBI and shit seems kind of like powerless to do much about 99% of it, even if they do impressive busts with it sometimes, but it's not exactly cheap or easy, you know?
Right. It's like fighting cocaine. Like even when they're like, wow, look at us, we got 20 tons of it. It's like everybody in
Exactly.
town still had blow that day.
You know?
Hey, I don't want to end on this note. This is
Here we go, here we go.
terrible.
I got
We
you. I
fucking
got you.
fell off.
Adam, you just talked to a parkour guy, huh?
Oh, I did, yeah.
Jason's a huge fan.
Wait,
Spoke with
hang on a
parkour.
minute. Wait a minute.
Stuck on child porn.
I thought you interviewed. Who's my son? This is how I don't even want to say it.
Bobby Shmurda.
Yeah, Shmurda, man.
Yeah.
But
I
before
dropped
that was
one
parkour
yesterday.
guy, yeah.
That's probably like our biggest one this year so far.
Shmurda.
They got like 300,000 on YouTube in the first day, so that's pretty good for
damn.
us.
He's great.
He was the most energy that I've ever seen from anyone I interviewed ever in my entire life. I could not believe the fucking energy that
Nice
just
guy.
radiates off him. Yeah, nice guy, but I mean, it's just he smokes hella weed too, and he's just jumping out of his seat and he's falling out of the chair laughing. That shit's insane.
Good for him. I'm happy to know that he's happy. I like watching video of him falling out of his chair. I'm like, good for you,
He
dude.
didn't even seem too upset about doing 7 years in prison. He just seemed like he was kind of
Everything's how you look at it, I guess.
yeah.
I mean, you're not in there right now. That's something to be pretty ecstatic about.
That's the truth.
I'd be pretty pumped. Dude, thanks so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. I know you're a very, very busy guy.
Gotta get you on mine at some point.
In a fucking second, dude, of course, obviously.
I had to do the decision last night of am I going to watch Jason on Logan Paul or am I going to watch him on the 9 Club? And I was like, do I want to listen to him talk, skate minutia, or do I want to listen to him talk to a couple of fucking meatheads? So I went meathead with him.
Do you talk to those guys at all?
Yeah. I'm tight with Mike and I've hung out with Logan. And
Okay,
Logan
because
and
those
shit,
dudes seem pretty, for where I am and having me on, they seem pretty nice. Like, I get
yeah,
it.
no, they're sick.
Yeah, they seem like nice people.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to fight each other that day. I brought my fighting gear, but
Oh,
they were busy. But I was like, come on, man, give me a shot. Let's see how good you really are.
Oh,
I wanted to get a taste.
I'm past that point in my life. I ain't trying to
Wait,
fight
you
anyone.
train?
I did jujitsu and shit like 10 years ago in Long Beach
Yeah.
for like a year,
Oh, okay.
going like once or twice a week. And it was tight, but I don't know.
Do you bike a lot?
Nah, I'm too busy.
Could you do can you still right now for like $100 do like a nose wheelie down the street, like and then have that foot off or whatever and shit?
Oh, a hang 5?
Yeah.
I was never able to get that. The
Can
hang
you-
5. Like a
can-
manual down the street.
You can do manuals for days?
Yeah.
Can you do tail whip on the flat ground?
No.
Could you ever do that?
Nah, I used to try tail whip over the hip at the skate park all the
gotta do
fucking
tail
time.
whip.
And it started to like kind of feel kind of all right over the years, but I never got one.
That's the shit. If I was a BMX dude, that would have been my jam. I always wanted to do one because I do 360 varial, which is our tail whip,
Right.
but I can tell tail whip seems like
No,
it's a
for
little
sure.
more
Like,
involved.
I've known countless dudes who like learned to tail whip a hip, and that's like they're probably never going to learn anything after that.
Why not? Why
Like,
bother?
that's just it. That's it right there.
It's an excellent move. Made the whole fucking bike whip round. Then you land back on the bike again.
Maybe I could learn it at 40.
I'll do it a contest with you. Wait, I shouldn't do that.
I should.
But I would do it because I would you can do it and then I'll just eat shit for like half an hour and you can be like, man, cool, good seeing you. Fucking. Because I can't really bike, but I'll do it. I did a 360 over a gap once on a BMX, like at a skateboard demo.
Really?
Yeah.
My body hurts just thinking about doing a fucking tail whip into a foam pit. Even like just getting out of the foam pit would just drain me.
Try being 50.
You're 50?
Yeah.
Wow, that's sick.
I know, right?
I feel ancient at 38.
All right. Yeah, so I'm just saying when you're sore, sometimes I find it hard to have the will to live anymore when I wake up in the morning. I'm joking. Sometimes
feel
I'm just
that.
really sore.
That's real.
Thanks for being on the show, dude.
Appreciate you guys.
Check him out on all his things because he does all these things. If you don't want to see his dick, maybe don't do the OnlyFans one, but it's pretty exciting. His wife's hot. All the chicks that they fuck are hot. It's pretty cool. All right. He needs no help. Thanks for being on here. Don't die. Thanks, dude.
If you want more Jason Ellis Show, sign up for their Patreon at patreon.com/EllisMate for a 2-hour show every Tuesday and Wednesday. To watch full episodes of The Jason Ellis Show, subscribe to us on YouTube at youtube.com/The Jason Ellis Show. And don't forget to follow the crew on Instagram at Wolfmate, at Tullywood, at Kevin Kraft, at Underwear Wolf, and at The Jason Ellis Show.